Hello, we're continuing to read from the Undiscovered Self called Jung. You can't go wrong with Jung. I just picked this up because I wanted something new to read, and most of my other books are in storage. So um, let's keep going. The structure and physiology of the brain furnish no explanation of the psychic process. The psyche has a peculiar nature which cannot be reduced to anything else. Like physiology, it represents a relatively self-contained field of experience to which we must attribute a quite special importance because it holds within itself one of the two indispensable conditions for existence as such, namely, the phenomenon of consciousness. Without consciousness, there would, practically speaking, be no world, for the world exists as such only insofar as it is consciously reflected and consciously expressed by a psyche. Consciousness is a precondition of being. Thus, the psyche is endowed with the dignity of a cosmic principle, which philosophically, and in fact gives it a position co-equal with the principle of physical being. The carrier of this consciousness is the individual, who does not produce the psyche on his own volition, but is, on the contrary, preformed by it and nourished by the gradual awakening of consciousness during childhood. If the psyche must be granted an overriding empirical importance, so also must the individual, who is the only immediate manifestation of the psyche. The fact must be expressly emphasized for two reasons. Firstly, the individual psyche, just because of its individuality, is an exception to the statistical rule and is therefore robbed of one of its main characteristics when subjected to the leveling influence of statistical evaluation. Secondly, the Church is granted validity only insofar as it acknowledges their dogmas, in other words, when it surrenders to a collective category. In both cases, the will to individuality is regarded as egotistic, obstinacy. Science devalues it as subjectivism, and the churches condemn it morally as heresy. It was wrong with me today, and spiritual pride. As to the latter charge, it should not be forgotten that unlike other religions, Christianity holds at its core a symbol which has for its content the individual way of life of a man, the Son of Man, and that it even regards this individuation process as the incarnation and revelation of God Himself. Hence, the development of the self acquires a significance whose full implications have hardly begun to be appreciated. Some people still don't appreciate it. Because too much attention to external blocks the way to immediate inner experience. Were not the autonomy of the individual the secret longing of many people, this hard-pressed phenomenon would scarcely be able to survive the collective suppression, either morally or spiritually. All these obstacles make it more difficult to arrive at a correct appreciation of the human psyche, but they count for very little beside one other remarkable fact that deserves mentioning. This is the common psychiatric experience that the devaluation of the psyche and other resistances to psychological enlightenment are based in large measure on fear and panic fear of the discoveries that might be made in the realm of the unconscious. These fears are found not only among persons who are frightened by the picture Freud painted of the unconscious, they also trouble the originator of psychoanalysis himself, who confessed to me that it was necessary to make a dogma of his sexual theory because this was the sole bulwark of reason against a possible outburst of black flood of occultism. In these words, Freud was expressing his conviction that the unconscious still harbored many things that might lend themselves to occult, interpretations, as in fact the case, these archaic vestiges are archetypal forms grounded on the instincts of giving expression to them, having nominous quality that sometimes arouses fear. They are ineradicable. They are, for they represent the ultimate foundations of the psyche itself. They cannot be grasped intellectually, and when one has destroyed one manifestation of them, they reappear in altered form. It is this fear of the unconscious psyche which not only impedes self knowledge, but is the gravest obstacle to a wider understanding and knowledge of psychology. Often the fear is so great that one dares not admit it even to oneself. Here is a question that every religious person should consider very seriously. He might get an illuminating answer. I'm going to write some commentary on my Patreon page so you can see that. Sorry for some of the mess ups, but it's been kind of a long day. Weird stuff happened today, so I don't know what's going on. I don't know what stars are aligned with what, but it was a weird day. Until next time, take care of yourself, be safe, and be careful. Take care of your mind, take care of your body.